Excellent. Okay. Thank you for joining. We're holding, good morning, Ablevel, Shalom Aleichem.
Good morning. Good morning.
We're holding here in the Gemara in Masechta Megillah, Daf Tes Vav Amud Aleph 15a. We're middle of the 6 statements of Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Says Rabbi Elazar in the name of Rabbi Chanina. First statement was about you should always take seriously anybody's blessings, even if it's an ordinary person. You should take into account anybody's curses, even if they're an ordinary person. Esther, when she went into Achashverosh, she received prophecy, Malchus prophecy. So now we're up to statement number 4 out of 6. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. Says Rabbi Elazar in the name of Rabbi Chanina. Bai ure'ei, come and see. Shaloi kemidas HaKadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'dam. Hashem does not act, Hashem's attributes and the way he acts is different than the way a person acts. Meaning, midas basar v'dam, if you have a person of flesh and blood, what he first does is soifes or shoifes kedera. First, a person has to take a pot, put it onto a surface. If he wants to hold it in the air, he can hold it in the air. But first, he needs a receptacle. And then, only afterwards, does he put water inside. Aval, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem is different. Noisein mayim, Hashem first makes the water in the air, and the water is just floating in the air. And then he makes a pot to receive the water that already is in the air. Meaning, Hashem could give even if there's no receptacle, no recipient. And this fulfills what it says in the Pasuk, in Yirmiyahu, which says, L'koil titoy hanoin mayim bashamayim. When Hashem utters his voice, there is a tumult in the waters of heaven. Meaning, first there is the waters of heaven. Afterwards, it says, Vayale nisiyim miktzei haaretz. Hashem causes vapor to ascend from the ends of the earth. First, Hashem places water in the heavens. Then Hashem makes vapor coming from the earth. And it receives, the vapors from the earth refers to the clouds. And the clouds are the receptacles to receive the water from heaven. But first came the water, then came the receptacle. In general, whenever you want to give something to someone else, you need to make a keli. You need to make a receptacle, something to receive the bracha. Hashem, first he gives a bracha, the blessing, and the blessing is ready. Afterwards, the person just has to make a receptacle to receive the blessing. There's a story of the Baal Shem Tov, that he was with a Talmud of his, I think the Reuven Margalius, and the Baal Shem Tov told him, come, let's go on a journey together. And they're going on a journey, and he says, should we take ourselves any food for the way or drink for the way? And he told him, no, there's no need. Hashem will provide everything. And as they're walking, and it's getting very, very, Ephraim is getting very thirsty, tells the Baal Shem Tov, I'm very thirsty. So Baal Shem Tov says, okay, just have bitachon that Hashem will provide everything for us. They're walking. A little short while later, they see a non-Jewish peasant holding a stick with 2 buckets of water on either end, and he's walking. They go over to him, excuse me, could you please give us or sell us some water? He says, please take water, take it happily. Asked him, what are you doing here in the middle of no man's land, in the middle of of the forest, the wilderness, with 2 buckets of water? He says, I went to draw water for my house, and I was walking back and I got lost. And for 3 days already, I'm lost. And now I'm just so happy that I'm able to give water to somebody, do something with this water that I have on my shoulders. So Baal Shem Tov later on told to Reuven Margolius, already before we started planning the trip, before we even thought about it, Hashem already put in place that Hashem will give the bracha. And all we needed to do was have belief, trust in Hashem, that Hashem will provide everything. So Hashem first makes the water, then he makes the receptacle to receive the water. Next statement. The Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, says Rabbi Lazar in the name of Rabbi Chanina. Kol ha'omer davar b'shem oimrei. Whoever reports something in the name of the person who said it, maybe geula la'olam, brings redemption to the world. Shenemar, as it states, and this is quoting directly from Pirkei Avos, or Pirkei Avos has the exact same quote. V'toimer Esther lamelech b'shem Mordechai. Esther, who reported to the king Achashverosh, when Mordechai heard that Bigsan and Seresh were planning to kill the king Achashverosh, so Mordechai told this to Esther, and Esther told it to the king, but she didn't tell it to him in her own name, like I found out this information. She told to the king in the name of Mordechai. And it was written in the book of Chronicles, Royal Memories, that Mordechai saved the king's life. And many or several years later, with the time, it ended up happening that because of that, Mordechai was honored by the king. And then when it came time to hang Mordechai, and Haman asked permission to hang Mordechai, so the king and said, hang Haman. But all this had to do, all this redemption of the Jewish people, of salvation, was a result of what originally happened when Mordechai told to Esther, and Esther said to the king in the name of Mordechai. So we see how important it is. Now, saying something over in the name of to repeat something in the name of the person who said it, besides how great it is, if you don't say something over, if you say something over and you don't repeat it in the name of the one who said it, it's considered to be gezel, stealing. The Sefer Chassidim writes that it's loisasig v'lo reacha. You're taking from your friend's property. You know, there's an old shtetl folktale goes like this, that says one time there was a rumor going out in the shul that the Rav, he stole all the Sefer Torah of the shul. The Rav of the shul stole all the Sefer Torah. What? People are going crazy. We have to fire this Rav. We can't have him anymore as a rabbi of our shul. We have to kick him out of our community. How could he steal all the Sefer Torah of the shul? And they started asking around. There's one person with a little bit of common sense. Where do you hear this from? We don't know. We heard this. I heard this from so-and-so. Okay. So-and-so, they go over to Reuven, let's say. Where do you hear this from? He says, I didn't say the Rav stole all the Sefer Torah. I just said he stole one Sefer Torah. Okay, he stole one Sefer Torah. Not that bad, but still pretty bad. Where do you hear it from? I heard it from Shimon. You go over to Shimon. I didn't say the Rav stole a Sefer Torah. What I said is that the Rav took from the shul without permission a Sefer of Torah, a Sefer of a Chumash, which had Torah printed in it. He said, okay, that's not that bad anymore, but where do you hear that from? I heard it from Levi. Goes over to Levi, says, what happened? You said such a thing? He said, no, what I said is when the Rav gave a drasha last Shabbos, he stole what he said out of another Sefer. So he stole what he said out of he stole the Torah he said from another Sefer. It's printed in a Sefer somewhere. So from there, the rumor went on that he stole a Sefer of a Torah, and that he stole a Sefer Torah, that he stole all the Sefer Torah. The Rav could have avoided all of this if he just would have said it over B'Shem Amrei, in the name of the person who said it. So, have the other. Let's do all the Gemara. It says, whoever says something in the name of the person who said it brings redemption to the world. Even if you're saying it over to a non-Jew, even if somebody's learning something moral from it, even if you're quoting somebody, it's quoting somebody else, it's always proper to quote everybody to be maybe to bring redemption to the world. Now, this Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, which says this statement is exactly the same statement in Pirkei Avos, which is a Mishnah. So if it's a Mishnah, so if it's already in Pirkei Avos, why is Rabbi Elazar, the name of Rabbi Chanina, quoting it now, like for the first time? What's he adding on to Pirkei Avos? Marsha asks this question. Marsha writes that Pirkei Avos, Perek Shishi, the last parak of Pirkei Avos, starts off with Shanu Chachamim V'Shoina Mishnah. Our sages have learned in the language of the Mishnah. Parak Vav, the last parak of Pirkei Avos, is not actually part of Pirkei Avos. These are just brises, which have to do with the content, with the theme of Pirkei Avos, learning Torah. We have the whole Parak Vav, chapter 6 of Pirkei Avos is called Kinyan Torah, acquiring Torah, because it gives you 48 conditions how to learn, how to acquire Torah. And being that it's a brisa, says a Marsha, it's possible that the Rabbi Chanina did not know about it, because an Amayra had to know of every single Mishnah. If you didn't know every Mishnah, you could not be an Amayra. But you didn't have to know every single brisa. A brisa is the teachings of the times of Tanaim, which did not make it into the Mishnah. But the question is, okay, fine, but why is Ravina and Rav Ashi, the ones who are writing the Gemara, why are they putting this into the Gemara if it's already written in Pirkei Avos? So that's where we come into the idea that everything is connected to what I said before. All these random statements the Gemara is bringing, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, and seemingly the statements have no connection to one to the other. If an ordinary person's blessing should be very important in your eyes. An ordinary person's curse should also be important. Hashem first makes the water, then he puts the pot around. All these are connected to each other. They're all adding on one to the other. We said before that the very next statement is Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. When a tzaddik passes away, it's like a gem which is lost. So why is a tzaddik, a righteous person, compared to a gem? So we're saying if you lose a gem, the gem never disappears. The gem hasn't been destroyed; it's just lost. Right? You ever have something lost in the couch? Read it for 20 years, and 20 years later, you open up the couch. Hey, I found what I lost. When a tzaddik passes away, he's like a gem which is lost. It's not destroyed. He's not gone. Rather, he's around, just that he's hidden. You can't see him. However, when you're Omer Davar B'Shem Omer, if you repeat the Torah of the tzaddik in the name of the tzaddik is still alive. The tzaddik is receiving reward for this, and there's no loss from the tzaddik passing away. So therefore, it's part of the statements of Amar Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Chanina, that if you say something over in the name of the one who said it, you bring geula, you bring redemption to the world, that through repeating something in the name of a chacham, of a sage, then you are making he is not passing away. He's someone which didn't die. Now, why does repeating something in the name of the one who said it bring redemption to the world? So you can explain this, there are different Mefarshim explain this different ways. But there's one explanation which says the minig was, I don't know if it still is, I haven't seen it much being practiced, is that whenever you have a magid, a rabbi, giving a speech, a drasha, they would end off saying Uvalat Tziyun Goyel, and may Hashem come and redeem the Jewish people. I guess if we end off with a wish for Mashiach to come, it's the same idea. According to what the Arizal writes, when the Torah was given, Hashem made a certain amount of Chidush Torah novelties that need to be nischadish, need to be found. And only Hashem knows how many they are. And whenever a good Talmid Chacham, a Torah scholar, student will make a Chiddush, a novelty until Mashiach comes, Mashiach is going to wait to not come every single chiddush was chadash, every single novelty was made. So Mashiach is waiting to come until every single chiddush was made, every single new Torah insight was made. So in the Medrash Shmuel it says that if somebody repeats something from somebody else without attributing it to the source, so you're not saying b'shem Oimrei, so then you don't have Kinyan Torah, you don't receive the blessing of learning Torah. And if somebody looks at you, you're brilliant, and really all you're doing is just repeating what you said somewhere else, what ends up being is you're not going to push yourself to Mechadash Chedushim, to find new insights in Torah, Lafashabat, to search and to work on Torah yourself. So therefore, if you repeat in the name of the one you're saying, people are going to look at you. Do you have any Chiddush, anything of your own to say? Or are you just repeating everything that you said? So it's going to push you to find the Chiddush, and that's maybe Geula, because every new novelty in Torah that you find brings the Geula closer. Now, there is one of the Mefarshim in the Gemara. His name is Eina B'Doilach. And he says the reason for the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash was sinas, senseless hatred. Meaning everyone is very, I'm so important, and who are you to do something which I don't like, or which was a slight to me, and they would hate each other for no reason. This is doing the exact opposite of that. When you're saying something over in the name of the original person who said it, B'Shem Oimrei, what you're saying is you're putting yourself on the side, a bittul. I wasn't able to come up with this. I'm repeating what somebody else heard. So this idea of achdus, coming one with the other. Esther could have told the king on her without giving credit to Mordechai. She giving the credit to Mordechai. It ended up being that the Jewish people had a great salvation because of that. In addition to that, why didn't Mordechai himself go to the king and tell the king that Bigsan and Sarah are planning to kill you? Why did he have to do it through Esther? So Rabbi Menachem Tzvi Taksin, he writes in a sefer called Orach Yesharim, he says that Mordechai had Ruach HaKodesh, Mordechai saw divine prophecy, and he saw that the benefit for this thing that I'm doing of saving the king's life is something that's going to have to be not now, but later in the future, farther down the line. So therefore, if he would go say it by himself to the king, so then the king would reward him right away. But doing it through Esther, and Esther saying it to the king in his name, so that set the stage later on. The king will.
Oh, so when Mordechai overheard Bigsan and Sarah trying to get, who did he tell it to? That they could stop them.
Again? Oh, he told it to Esther.
Oh, he told it to Esther.
Right. Vatomer Esther lamelech b'shem Mordechai. Vatomer Esther lamelech b'shem Mordechai.
Different time. Then it had nothing to do with now when Haman made his.
Right.
So she told it to, but she just put it in the file cabinet. He didn't give him any kind of reward.
Right. Until we're going to have it soon. Right. You couldn't sleep at night.
Right.
That's what we see. Achashverosh was in Lubavitcher. How? Because at night he couldn't sleep. He read Sefer HaZachernis. Sefer HaZachernis is called Lubavitcher Rabbi's Memoirs. Oh. It's from the Friedrich Rebbe, the history of basically how the Alter Rebbe's father became Chabad, but it's a general history of the whole Jewish scene at that time.
And how do you have to
Father became a chassid.
You get it in English.
Get it in English. Called the Lubavitcher Rabbi's Memoirs. I have it here in this shul.
Wonderful stuff.
So the fact that Esther told in the name of Mordechai, so the king didn't reward right away because he's not going to reward Esther. He's going to reward Mordechai. But Mordechai wasn't there on the spot, so he put it aside to reward him later. And this is what he explains. If you have the word gaiva, what does gaiva mean? Haughtiness.
Yeah.
A person wants to show off. If a person says a chiddush that someone else said without repeating it in their name, so then all they're doing is showing off. When a person learns Torah, lam censored limit Torah, so then they realize that everything is from Hashem. And if I make the other person great, it's not taking away anything from me. I don't have to be great and forget and try hiding whatever anyone else did. I can make the other person great, and it's not going to reflect negatively on me. And that comes in the schutz of limit Torah. So that's why you have the word gaiva, which means haughtiness, arrogance, and you put the lamed in, you have the word gimel aleph vav lamed hey geula. Right, you put the lamed into gaiva, and you get geula. The Rabbi Yoel Satmar, he repeats in the name of his grandfather, the Yismach Moshe, says when a tzaddik passes away and you repeat a Torah from him, his lips, Hatzvi-Bais are moving in his kever, in his grave, and that brings a schus, a protection for all the people of the generation, and they bring rachmanis, a mercy for all the people who are living in the world. So, in a similar sense, when we repeat something in the name of the person who said it, in a similar sense, Hashem, you could say, his lips are moving. And this brings, he says, a hisairos of rachamim on the Jews. And it brings rachamim to, and that's the idea of Geula, when Hashem will be, he will have mercy and redeem the Jewish people. The Rebbe has a very interesting explanation on this. Whoever says something in the name of the one who said it. What is the word Oimrei? Who is the real Oimer? It's Baruch Sha'amar v'haya ha'olam. Basar ma'amaris nivra ha'olam. Hashem created the world with 10 sayings. Baruch Sha'amar, we say every day. Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be. You have the Dvar Hashem, the words of Hashem, which are creating in the world. If you say something in the name of the one who said it, you look at every single thing in the world and you find the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem in every single thing. You look at every single thing that happens to a person and say, I see Hashem in this. Look at every single physical object in the world and you see B'Shem Omrei. All you're doing is, you're seeing this is a piece of Hashem. This is not something that's an obstacle. This is not something that's neutral. This is, you're finding Hashem inside of it. That's Mevi Geula L'Olam. That brings redemption to the world. Because Geula, if he takes out one letter, the Aleph makes the word Goyla, which is exile. And you add the Aleph, which is the one Hashem, Aluf Shel Olam, it makes Geula. It makes redemption. And you're just revealing, you're not making something that wasn't there before. You're just revealing, shining a light, seeing what was really there before. It's like you're in a room and the light is off. Mashiach comes, the light gets turned on, and suddenly you see everything that was here before. It's suddenly geuladik. It's suddenly in a redemption way, and that's what he ends off. But the Gemara ends. Vatomer Esther lamelech b'shem Mordechai. Esther said it to the king in the name of Mordechai. Esther comes from the word. It says in Gemara Menachos, Hastir Astir Panai. I will hide my face. Concealment. Hashem concealed himself. So when a person is Omer David B'Shem Ermei, looks at the world and sees that only the Mamaris, the sayings of Hashem, then Tomer Esther LaMelech. Esther, the concealment, goes to the Melech, to the king, and becomes revealed. B'Shem Mordechai, in the name of Mordechai, revealed the name of Hashem, and Mordechai is the idea of revelation as well. So that's what it means. Omer David B'Shem Ermei. If you remove the concealment of the world, and B'Shem Mordechai, you have the redemption will be coming to the world. Let's do the next Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina. The Amar Rabbi Lazar, Amar Rabbi Chanina, says Rabbi Lazar in the name of Rabbi Chanina. Tzaddik avad, l'derei avad. When a tzaddik, when a righteous person passes away, they're only passing away for the people of their generation. Avad l'derei. However, for the world, he's not lost in general. Only for the people of his generation. Because the people of the generation, until then, they had a protector, someone who could daven for them, someone who could protect them. But the tzaddik himself is not really affected by his passing away. His passing away is the same for the tzaddik, whether he's in the world or outside of the world. His soul, his neshama, goes to the place where it was. An example is a person who lost a pearl. a very precious stone. Kol makom shehi margalis shema. Wherever the pearl is, it's still a pearl. It's still its importance. And it's never going to spoil, get rotten, disintegrate. It's still around. V'loy avda ella lebaila. The tzaddik is only lost like the gem, the pearl is lost for its owner. So the tzaddik is lost, you could say, for the people of the generation. But the tzaddik himself, he's under the kisei hakavod, and his passing away doesn't have an effect on him. There's a famous letter of the Alter Rebbe, printed in Tanya, Igeres Chav Zayin, 27, letter 27, saying that this is after Lev Yitzchak of Erdishev passed away, that tzaddik, chayei tzaddik enim chayim sarim ki im chayim ruchnim. The life of a tzaddik is not a physical life. His whole life was emunah, ava v'yira, belief in Hashem, love of Hashem, fear of Hashem, and tzirasa, and his Torah that he would teach, and that does not change. Anything physical could come to an end, but anything spiritual never comes to an end. And on the contrary, it gets even stronger. It's with you have effects of people who are affected by the tzaddik, and they're his talmidim, his students. If they go b'derech yeshara or he goes in the way which he was taught, so then a tzaddik never really passed away. A tzaddik really lives forever, and the effect on the world is even greater in many senses and when in many details when they were alive. Like it says in the Zayar, tzadikaya despater istaka shtaka chokuli alman yatim b'chayoi. A tzaddik which passes away is found in all the worlds, including in this world, even more than when he's alive. Because when he's alive, the tzaddik was limited in space. He had a physical body. He had place A to place B. However, after he passed away, he's not limited by a physical body. So the tzaddik, after he passing away, is not lost, not even to the generation. All you have to do is connect to the tzaddik. Whoever's connected to the tzaddik is able to affect them and protect them even greater. Tomorrow, the Gemara will continue, Mirz Hashem, with continuing explaining the Megillah, or at the bottom of the daf. Going to pull up the Kuntris Mayan on the page. Maimer Hatzvi-Bais. Maimer 22, Perek Gimel, chapter 3. Page 319. So over here in this chapter, we're going to sort of tie a lot of the loose ends together to explain this three-way discussion in Masechta Rosh Hashanah. How often is a person judged? Are they judged every day, every hour, or are they judged on Rosh Hashanah for the entire year? We're going to explain Rabbi Yossi's opinion that one is judged every day, the sage's opinion that one is judged on Rosh Hashanah for the entire year, and we're going to come to the conclusion that none of them are really disagreeing with each other. They're all in agreement with each other. And then we're going to give a short summary, one paragraph summary of what happens according to all opinions on Rosh Hashanah, on Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur every day, and on every hour. So V'hinei, page 319. After explaining the idea that everything has a body and a soul, everything, even every level, has a spiritual component, which is a higher aspect, and a physical component, the lower aspect. Al Pizeh Yuvan Das Rabbi Yossi. According to everything we said before, we can understand what Rabbi Yossi says. The Soiver, and he holds, Shebechol Yoim Yesh Din Gomer. Every single day, a person is put on trial again. What they will receive for that day. Hine. Zeh sheyumshach hashpois chesed gashmi mamish b'banei chayim mazoni. This that a person can receive, and it's translated anything, any kindness that he's supposed to receive from heaven to come into a physical way in children, health, and prosperity. Sarech liyos ayedei kelim v'ayedei halavushim. The bria yitzir asiyah has to come through the lower three worlds, from the chesed, the kindness of Atzilus, to bria, down to Yitzira, down to very good. Because it makes it that it could become a form, it could be garbed in the three lower worlds. It could take on and it assumes a physical form eventually, through going down through the lower three worlds. To take on a physical form is a very novel thing. Because to take anything spiritual, anything not physical, and make it physical, that is need. For that, you need to have a big gap, a leap. Yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. The Masha Chesed Atzilus, Kollel Eretz Hatzvi Bria Yitzira Asiya, V'nimshach b'derech hashtalshelus, u'bechinas hachayis haruchni, u'bechinas haneshama shua or v'chesed Bria Yitzira Asiya. Anything that comes down from the world of Atzilus and chesed of Atzilus, the kindness of Atzilus, contains within it, at least in a small form, it has the source of the chesed of the world of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiya. All that is spiritual. None of it yet is physical. B'chinas hachayis haruchni, b'chinas haneshama shua or the chesed the Bria, Yitzira, Asiya. All this, all the radiances and everything that comes down from the world of Atzilus to Bria, to Yitzira, to Asiya, it's all spiritual. And even though each level is different, and it's experientially different than the other one, but it's all in the same realm of spirituality. Yesh, the Kollel Levushim, the Chesed, the Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, Za'enoi Kollel b'Chesed Atzilus. The kindness, the way it comes in a physical sense, that, and even in the higher worlds, the Kalim, the recipients of the higher worlds, that is essentially different than the kindness of the world of Atzilus. And it's totally recreated in a manner of something new every single day. And that's why you have every single day a complete judgment every single day. So Rabbi Yossi, which says that a person is judged every single day. Why are they judged every single day? Because in order to have anything that's been allotted for you on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, in order for it to become physical, you have to go through a judgment, a strict judgment to see, is this person worthy of such an effort? Is this person worthy that this great spiritual thing should come down and become physical? You have to be worthy of it. So a person is judged every day, according to Rabbi Yossi. Well, Lefiza, and now we're going to explain the Chacham and the sage's opinion. Lefiza Yuvan, Gam Kain, Mashan Isbar La'el. This will also explain the sages. The sages' opinion, they agree that what happens in Rosh Hashanah is a spiritual thing, a spiritual judgment. How much is a budget for the year, but it's all just it's all money on paper. It's not really yet anything tangible. And so they are in agreement that it's possible we'll just stay with pledges, right? We'll stay like that. There was a shul which was stolen. There was a robber which came and stole something from the shul, and they called up the insurance company and we want to make a claim for $100,000. So they send an adjuster to the shul. They look around. So this shul over there, the benches were rickety. There were cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. The dust was 3 inches thick. You know, the kichel was from times of the great grandparents by the Kiddush. And says, yeah, $100,000? Said, yeah, they stole this and that. And how much is that? Worth maybe $500? Yeah, but they stole $100,000 worth of pledges. Right. So it's possible that it could all stay in spiritual, not necessarily come physical. The Chachamim, the sages, agree with that as well. The question is, if in the world of Atzilus, on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Hashem already decided in this world how much a person will receive, so then shouldn't it must come down to a physical way? Should it not come down? And so we say, not necessarily. According to what we said before, we can understand. It is not necessary that it must come into physical form. Any blessings that Hashem gave, there's nothing compelling it to become physical. Because in the kindness of Atzilus that was decided on during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, everything there is spiritual. Nothing is physical there. You have the sources and the roots of the physicality in a very subtle way, but nothing spiritual. But and it's possible, therefore, that a person could receive everything that was decided for him on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in a spiritual sense. How will he receive it spiritually? A person could receive all of that in the world to come, in Gan Eden, in the higher Gan Eden, which is in the world of Bria, the lower Gan Eden in the world of Yitzira. So a person could receive what was decided then in Gan Eden after they pass away. There's that numshach b'chinas hameshama, which comes from the soul. It's not for sure that it will come into a physical form. Lufiza Yuvan. According to all this, we can understand. Now we're going to say how now all of the opinions that we mentioned are actually in agreement. Right? Back to our Gemara over here in Rosh Hashanah, which says, how often is a person judged? Rabbi Yossi says a person is judged every single day. The Rabbanan, the Chachamim, they said that a person is judged between Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur, and Rav Nosson says a person is judged every hour. All of these opinions here in the Gemara and Megillat HaZayin are not disagreeing with each other. Rather, they're all focusing on a different aspect. We'll read it inside. According to this, we can understand the Rabban of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi, who says a person is judged every day, and the Chachamim, the sages, who says one person is judged in the beginning of the year. And it uses a famous line from the Gemara, Ma'ar Merchada, Umar Merchada, V'loi Pligi. One master says one thing, one master says the other thing, and they are actually not disagreeing. There's no reason for disagreement. The sefer called Asar Mamaris, which we mentioned earlier in Maimer 20, chapter 1. It also says that, but explains in a different way, how also these two opinions of Rabbi Yossi and the Chachamim are not in disagreements. But here we're going to explain. The Rabbanan Medabrim are the sages who said that a person is judged in the beginning of the year is speaking speaking in the spiritual sense. When is a person spiritually judged? Meaning, how much a person will receive for the year, how much chesed how much kindness they will receive for the year. And this is included in the judgment of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Because the amount of chesed, the kindness, the beneficence, which is decided in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is always there. And it's coming downwards, but it's not necessarily something unique that could not have existed before. It's not something that's yesh mi'ayin, something from nothing. It's something spiritual, and it becomes chesed kindness, and you can have this amount of chesed kindness, and still it's all spiritual kindness in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. V'lachein ein al zeh dinu mishpat ki p'kida v'iyun levad. What happens every single day, according to the rabbis? You just scrutinize, you remember what happens every single day, and see where the person is deserving, that what he earned in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur should come down in a physical sense. And Rabbi Yossi agrees with this. So what happens in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is decided what you're receiving for the year, but it's on paper and it's spiritual and not yet physical. So what's Rabbi Yossi, when he says that a person is judged every day, what is he discussing then? Rabbi Yossi is discussing when things come in a physical sense. This is what happens every single day. Looking at how things are in a physical way. To receive physical blessings, acute material physical blessings. And this is something novel, unique, that something spiritual could become physical. Therefore, he says that every single day there is a judgment which takes place, how much a person will receive that day. And the rabbis, the sages, concur with Rabbi Yossi, with that the person every single day is judged again what they will receive in a physical sense. So how to explain how Rabbi Yossi and the Chachamim are agreeing with each other? The sages, the Chachamim, referring to the spiritual form of the chesed, of the kindness. Rabbi Yossi refers to the physical form of the kindness. The spiritual form of the kindness that is elicited on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and every day descends in a spiritual form throughout the world, Bria Yitzir and Asiyah, and the entire spirituality is included in the world of Atzilus. And so what's needed to do is to bring forth what's already in the world of Atzilus and spirituality. And is a scrutiny, this is not a major judgment for the spiritual of the world of Atzilus to come down into the spiritual of the world of Asiyah. Rabbi Yossi agrees, when it comes to spirituality, the judgment is on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. He's coming from the viewpoint of what the person will receive. And we want to elicit the spiritual to become not just spiritual state in the world to come, but to actually become physical. So Rabbi Yossi, in his own statement in the Gemara, he speaks of the physical, of the creation of Yesh Mi'ayin, the world being created anew every moment, and the chesed the kindness becomes physical. And for the kindness to become physical, that is actually a judgment every single day. And the sages agree with him. If you want to have the kindness of Hashem, which is spiritual, to become physical, there is a judgment, and it's every single day. And the new trials needed to guarantee a physical form for the chesed. So it comes out that they're both in agreement with each other. The Chacham and the sages are coming from a more spiritual viewpoint, the kindness of the chesed, and Rabbi Yossi looks at the physical viewpoint. You remember Rabbi Ruddle, I'm sure, yeah? Rabbi Ruddle, you remember?
When was he here?
He's here for about 35 years.
He's still here?
No, he passed away. He moved to California. Anyway, so Rabbi Ruddle, he one time said a mashal on this idea. Says there was a patient in the ICU, and for a long time he's in very critical condition, and the family standing around, always listening to the updates from the doctors. And then patient's laying on the bed, and he's not, still unresponsive. And doctor walks in, he looks at the chart, and he starts dancing. He's all excited. Wow, such great news! Finally, breakthrough. The family looks at him. What happened? He says he's going to get totally better. Now he's getting better. Look, you see that dot on the chart went from there to there, and this went from there to there. That means he's getting better. That means he's good. Patient's family looked at him, and they said, "What are you talking about? He's still laying unresponsive on his bed, in his hospital bed. What do you mean he's getting better? I could see it already." The next day, when the patient woke up and started becoming stronger, then the patient's family became very happy. Right? So the Chachamim, the sages, will be like the doctor. They're looking from the spiritual viewpoint. They're looking from see what's happening when the chesed in Atzilus, when the spiritual chesed was brought down on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. For them, that's already the judgment they're focusing on. And Rabbi Yossi is looking from the viewpoint of the family, from the viewpoint that we need a physical sustenance. What do our Rebbes always say? That in the year Tafresh Ches, 1848, was one of the times that there was a ketz. There was a time which says one of the dates, it's called the ketz. We say the Mashiach could come on this date. Different Sfarim have different dates that they calculate when Mashiach comes. Of course, the Gemara in Sanhedrin says, Kollel Kitzin. There are no more kitzin, are no more dates that you could calculate when Mashiach comes, because all of them passed already. It all depends on when the Jewish nation does teshuvah. So there was a ketz for the year Tafresh Ches, 1848. And the Tzemach Tzedek son, the Rebbe Maharash, or no, his older son, I think, the Mariel, the older son, Yehuda Leib, Tzemach Tzedek's son, he asked his father, Tzemach Tzedek, what happened after the year passed and Mashiach didn't come? What happened with the ketz, with the date of this year? So he says, in this year, the Kutei Torah of the Alter Rebbe was printed. So the Kutei Torah was printed in the year Tafresh Ches. So that's how the calculation of Mashiach coming this year was fulfilled by the Kutei Torah of the Alter Rebbe being printed. All these amazing Maimarim, I said this being printed. So the Mariel answered back to Tzemach Tzedek, we need Mashiach physically down here. Yes, the spiritual aspect of Mashiach could be in the Maimarim of the Kutei Torah. What we need is Mashiach to be physically down here. And that's the way Rabbi Yossi is looking. He doesn't mention over here the third opinion of Reb Nassan, which said that a person is judged every hour or because you could say that Reb Nassan he's part of the same discussion. The blessing which comes from Hashem, you have two different parts of it. Hashem gives everyone their parnasa, what they need every single day, according to what was decided in the beginning of the year. And every single moment, Hashem is recreating the world, yesh min ayin, something from nothing. If Hashem would ever stop recreating the world would stop to exist. So the sages and Rabbi Yossi, they're discussing what happens with hashpah, with the spiritual chesed, the spiritual kindness of beneficence which was decided on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in the beginning of the year. And so that's what they're discussing. So they're both agreeing, the sages and Rabbi Yossi, the spiritual aspect takes place in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and the judgment for it to become physical takes place every single day. Reb Nosson, who says that a person is judged every hour or every moment, he's speaking about how Hashem creates the world constantly, yesh me'ayin, something out of nothing. And that constantly takes place every single moment. Not just one day, not just once a day, but it takes place every single moment. And this is, in a way, even a more strict judgment than what takes place on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Because we're deciding if the world should be recreated. Not if you have Malchus in the world, it should be recreated. But so he's discussing, this is from a mimer of the Rebbe Rashab in Tafir Samach Vav, discussing the difference of Rabbi Yossi and the Chachamim were discussing Chesed of Atzilus, and Reb Nosson was discussing the idea of Yesh Me'ayin of every moment. So let's summarize. Hayotzi mikol hanal. To summarize everything we have said. The Iker Hadinu Mishpat, who b'Rosh Hashanah v'Yom Kippurim. The main judgment takes place on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. U'v'zeh taloi klalos ha'ashpa'a l'chol hashana. And the entire year, it depends, one receives dependent on what was decided in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. How much the kindness of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur was decided, the entire world in general, and every person, every creation specifically, a lot or a little. However, in order for it to become physical, it has to come through the worlds of chesed, of the kindness of the lower three worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiyah. And the lower three worlds. And there's two ways of this. Bringing down the spiritual kindness of the worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiyah. Then there is another aspect, the garment and the configuration of the kindness, how it comes down in a tangible, in a physical sense in the lower three worlds. And on this idea, if it should become physical, how it's manifested is the judgment and the scrutiny which takes place on a daily basis. And this determines how the kindness of the world of Atzilus comes down into the worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiyah, and comes down in a physical sense, and that's determined every single day. Kitzer summary: Gilei Chesed b'Vani Chayim Mazaynei Tzarich Lias Ayedei Kelim the Eser Sfiras U'B'Derech Bria Yesh Me'ayin. The Chesed of Hashem, the kindness of Hashem, is determined through the 10 spheres of Atzilus, if they should come down in a physical sense, from a spiritual form, from the 10 levels of Atzilus, if it's able to be recreated in a physical sense, to be children, health, wealth. According to Rabbi Yossi, there's a judgment which takes place every day. And the sages say that it's possible that it could stay in a spiritual form and it will be for the person to receive in the world to come. The Chacham and the sages speak about the spiritual life and aspect of it. Rabbi Yossi medaber be'inyan hagashmi, and Rabbi Yossi speaks about the physical aspect of it. So now, in the next chapter, we're going to take everything we learned, we discussed at great length in the last, let's say, 7 mamarim, about the person is judged every day, person is judged in Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the kindness, the way it comes to the world of Atzilus, and all that. And then we're going to say how how a person could apply this in their outlook on how they earn their living. To know that everything that you earn your living from is actually nothing powerful, is not a means of itself. Rather, it's like the heavens and the earth, or whatever it is like literally a axe in the hands of a wood chopper, which are just a tool that Hashem uses to give kindness to everybody. And a way to make everything receiving in a physical sense. So we're going to pause over here.
Where?
Shkoyach Reb Leibel, Levi, Mr. Minsky for joining. Hashem. See you tomorrow, same